Hello, everybody. Is everyone well today? We have a wonderful live stream today about Doctor, and welcome to this to the Dutch Doctor Who channel. I'm in the Joker, and my guests are Queen Charlotte, a huge fan of
Hello.
Smith, and Peter Rich, a
Hi.
very welcome guest. Hello, and everyone in the chat. I see Sadeku, welcome, and Mentology, hello.
Hello, Wen. Good to see you.
Hey, Wen.
Also, Mentology is also seen in many streams. He's a very content. Is very popular.
Yeah.
So, the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, arrived at Matt Smith, and it was a very beginning was very stormy for the 11th Doctor because he landed in the garden in the first episode.
Bang, yeah.
Bang,
well, his TARDIS.
He climbed out of his TARDIS, totally wet because he was falling in his swimming pool. And yes, we know that he met the little Amy Bond, and that all starts with fish fingers and custard. And have you seen the first episode live?
Oh, I did, yeah, because I can remember out of my little friendship circle, everybody was like down on Matt when he was announced. Nobody thought he'd do it, and because they were all sort of heartbroken over Tennant's departure.
Mm-hmm.
And I was literally one of the only people who were just like, no, I think he's going to be good. I've just got this feeling. Because I'd seen him in, it wasn't a big part, it was like a Philip Pullman adaptation, and it had Billy Piper as the main role, but he played a very not even a secondary, like a background. But I remember liking him in that. So when he was announced, I was like, no, I've seen him in something, I think he's going to do well. So I can remember being nervous though watching it live, because I think because he got such a, not a bad reception, just a lot of people weren't sure. I just wanted him to hit it out the park that first episode.
Yes. Yeah, he set the standard very high, Tennant, and Matt Smith did a good job after that, I think.
Well, yeah, like I said, he was coming after the Tennant, and I think a lot of people at that time, and PD, you can add to this, it was his age. People were really nervous about his age.
We were so nervous about it. We all said it, like, as going to a Star Trek comment, it was like Star Trek Insurrection and First Contact. Everyone was like, yeah, we're a bit nervous. Can a certain director pull it off again? Kind of thing. Same thing. I had the same butterflies in my stomach when Matt started with Matt. But how long was it until you accepted him as a Doctor?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I liked him from literally his interactions with Amy, because I found them incredibly cute and sweet, and that is how you do awkward. That is the example of how you do sort of the alienness and the awkwardness of the Doctor brilliantly. But I think it's a cliche. I think I liked him throughout that first episode, but it's when he's on the rooftop. That speech when he's talking when he's commanding the Atraxi, and he just says, "Run," and you just went, right, there's the Doctor.
That was weird. Anyway, I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
When was it with you then, PD?
Beast Below. He had a little tiny bit of Tom Baker. When he was going investigating in the Beast Below, and he was looking in the weird control room with the two buttons. He got a bit Tom Baker, and I was like, wow, he's going Tom Baker.
Oh, and that moment when he said, no human has anything to say to me, it was like,
yeah,
okay, you don't push this Doctor, considering he was a bit goofy and a bit childish that first episode.
Yeah, it was just like that. It just clicked with me. I thought, he's a Doctor. I'm not big fond of his costume, not big fond of his Sonic, but he's a Doctor.
Yeah, what very positive is about this doctor is that he was the youngest, but he can play it all very old. That was so very positive about this doctor.
It was his eyes. I've always
Yes, it
said
was
this.
his
Yeah.
eyes. Yes,
Look at
and
his eyes in any given scene when he's showing that sort of wisdom and age. He becomes 90 or 100 without physically aging. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's just amazing the way Matt pulls it off. I mean, I didn't think it was going to work at the beginning, but he just pulled it off. It's like almost had that Jack Sparrow look in his eye when he pulled it off. It's like,
yes,
sailing
right.
away with a ship. Yeah.
Yeah, that roof scene in the beginning, the roof scene above that, he became the doctor for me. Yes, that's right. When he says, "I'm a doctor."
Yeah.
Well, and also it was such a clever move for Moffat to have all the images, all the faces of previous doctors, and then to sort of linger on Tennant, and then he stepped through, and that's such a brilliant sort of visual cue to basically reassure, to say he might look a bit young, but he's the doctor, and it's such a. I love that as well. Moffat's. I don't know if it was the director or Moffat who came up with it, but I love that. They did as well.
Yeah, it was a good casting overall. I think that. By the way, it was the start of the 11th Doctor, but also the start of the new showrunner. Stephen Moffat. RTD did Eccleston and Tennant. With Matt Smith started Stephen Moffat. And the 12th Doctor.
So that was another thing that got the fan base nervous, wasn't it? The fact that Russell was going and Moffat, even though he'd written some really cracking episodes, it's a lot different writing your single episodes to show running.
Yeah. So, we dive into the personality of this Doctor. Never shying away from adventure, the 11th Doctor preferred a life of excitement and would deliberately avoid a stable situation to keep things from being boring. So he was a little bit of a trouble seeker. He was really looking for some adventure and for some challenges. That was a characteristic of this Doctor, I think. What do you think?
PD, God love him, he's gone again. I sort of. A name I've sort of given Matt in like the last couple of years, but more recently I've sort of, if I were to sort of give him a title, I would say Peter Pan Doctor. The boy who never grew up sort of vibes.
Yeah.
Like you said, he was just so enjoying life and wanting to go out and explore.
Yeah, you lost me for a second again. Yeah, PD is also gone. Okay. He had only one condition to his companions, and I want to choose a destination, being that had to pick somewhere amazing, like the Vampires of Venice in the story. They go to Venice in one of the first stories.
Oh, but he says that to Amy at the end of 11th Hour.
Yeah.
It's like anywhere in the universe, and he does that whole speech.
Yes, and that is very characteristic, because it is multiple times during his era. He says that he wanted also to pick a destination which is amazing.
Yeah, and you could just see he was, because Tennant had a bit of that, but he got a lot of moodiness.
There we go.
Oh, here we go. Now we have
trying to keep Sadeko happy. There we go.
Long hair.
Happy. There we go.
No, but it was refreshing. After sort of the moodiness of Tennant near the end, that we had this adventurer.
Yeah. It was actually. It was upbeating, because Tennant was really moody in his last kind of things, and he got a bit too above his station, a bit too powerful. And all of a sudden,
So it was not a doctor for a simple life, although he also longed for a simple life sometimes. Like, for example, in Christmas Carol, but it was not so he was really of the challenge. He wanted to try new things. It was a very adventurous Doctor in that way. more and less traumatic than the previous incarnation.
Yeah.
In that
Yeah,
way.
he didn't dwell on things nowhere near as much. At the beginning, you could say with Matt, he didn't dwell as much with his Doctor.
Yeah, it became darker during his era, but it was after a series or two. The last series was more darker, I think.
Yeah, it was after he'd obviously lost things, and he'd sort of had a lot of some battles which he thought he was going to win, sort of not go his way. That he got a bit darker.
Yeah. And he was also more childish in nature in his previous incarnations, and he would advise others against growing up. Like for example, in the 11th hour, and it got complex. And then frequently defined himself as a madman with a box.
Oh yes.
And as he struggled to act as a mature adult in his socializing, to the extent that the psychic paper failed to register him as a mature and responsible adult.
Yeah.
So he was often quick, offensive or offended when some people said to him things to criticize him. I think.
See, I think it depended. Like
it was dependent.
Some stuff would cut deep, but other stuff he could very easily just sort of have a funny one-liner and carry on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unable to resist the call to adventure and the need to help others, though in a murderous fashion, the 11th Doctor tried to be a figure of comfort in the universe by standing by those who were afraid and defenseless. We see that in the Time of the Angels, the Earth, Night Terrors.
He was quite empathetic. This Doctor.
Yeah.
Like if somebody was hurting, whether that was a companion or even just a side character, he would go out of his way to comfort.
Yeah.
Especially with children. I think all doctors have that, but I associate that sort of link and wanting to comfort children a lot more with Matt's Doctor.
Yeah.
I can understand that. I can relate to that. Yes. It's very
true. It's like you are phone to like Beast Below, and that's the whole opening. He says to Amy, "Oh, don't," sorry. He said to her, like, don't interact, like, don't do anything. It's going to cause issues. And as soon as he sees a little girl crying, he's there, and he's talking to her. And Amy even calls him out and says, "You said not to do anything." And he's like, and then I think she says, "Except for when it's a crying child," because she's picked up on it.
Sadeko says, "Met Doctor felt more empirical to me than the new Doctors before." Empirical, that is. Can someone explain?
Old-fashioned? Do you mean?
Old-fashioned.
No.
Empirical, empirisch.
You said, I'm trying to think how. Like I said, do you mean like old-fashioned or? Sadako will explain. He's usually very good at it.
He was never abandoning those who were in need, and even if he believed they weren't real for accepting Amy's choice, but had priorities and those in more immediate danger than those who could be saved later. For example, infecting of the Daleks and the death of the Doctor.
Yeah.
So he was he had the priorities straight.
Oh yeah, it's because he says in Amy's choice, you're not buried underground yet or something. I can't remember the exact line, but it's very stark, and he's saying to her, "You're not dead. Sure. That's why I'm letting you go," because he knows. And you've got to think, Tennant did lose Rose quite traumatically. He lost Donna quite traumatically. So he's had the previous incarnation that had those two losses. And I love that and I've always said this, any writer who knows what they're doing with this show, they have to show that the previous incarnation is impacting the current one.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Matt's acting and the writing in Amy's choice, that was a Doctor directly after 10 saying, I know there's a chance I'm going to cause you death. And I'm just getting ahead of the game. I don't want to do this, but it's the better option.
And Anthology says Matt has the ability to be childlike while exuding great wisdom, true doctorish qualities. Yes, that's right. Childlike and wisdom. Oh, so Deku have an explanation of empirical. I mean, having the measure of people, personalities, and a whole hierarchy.
All right, so being able to read
hierarchy.
people and sort of how. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I can see that, Matt.
Yeah. Oh, very welcome, Kelly.
Oh, hello, Kelly. Good to see you.
Hey.
Oh, Kelly. I still love Tennant more, and of course Capaldi. Yeah, everyone has his favorites, his or her favorites. We also have Tennant. We discussed Tennant last week. We have a whole playlist with Doctors 1 and 2. This Doctor. It's a whole series, and we are in the last Doctors this series. Now in the era of Stephen Moffat and Matt Smith, and next Tuesday, another day than usual, we have the 12th Doctor. That's also in the Stephen Moffat era.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You go.
12th, yeah. 12th.
12.
It's coming up.
I must admit, I only learned what it means from watching Ashes to Ashes.
So that makes us feel better than we were like, what?
Ashes to Ashes, I don't know.
Oh, it was a television show in Britain.
Okay. Yeah. The Doctor enjoyed a vocabulary populated by unconventional adjectival noun structures, with one of his most favorite phrases being timey-wimey.
Yeah, wibbly-wobbly, tiny-wimey.
Yeah, and however, he often gave long and scientific explanations to certain phenomena before his examples were simplified by or for the benefit of others. In Christmas Carol, Doctor's Wife, Modern Time. The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. By the way, Doctor, Widow, and the Wardrobe is mine. Is under the ranking of all the episodes.
I just forget that one exists. Do you know when you go through Christmas specials? I always forget that one.
Yeah, that's I think the worst Christmas special.
Yeah.
Of all the new.
Yeah, Ashes to Ashes was a sequel to Life on Mars, by the way.
Yeah, but that's Ashes to a song of David Bowie.
Yeah, it's also a David Bowie song, but
yeah. Well, yeah, they used a lot of Bowie music because of when it was set in the show.
Life on Mars they used Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes, yeah.
Ashes to Ashes.
Dust to dust, funky. We all know Major Tom was a junkie.
Yeah,
I love that line.
Very good.
That line.
He was really an artist with music.
Yeah.
David Bowie was a rarity. Call it.
Yeah.
He was really He jumped. He was really an artist with many colors.
Where's problem being when we need him?
Oh yeah, we have Leon.
Where's the problem being? Where is he, by the way?
It's probably yeah.
Oh, he's probably got living just conked out because I bet he got no sleep last night.
No, after watching that.
Well, no, it's not just that. You know what he's like. He would have spent like 5 hours on Twitter afterwards.
Yeah.
Either.
Arguing.
Yeah.
Or was he with? Wasn't he with Alpha Omega doing Blackadder though? Oh, I don't know. I digress. I completely digress away from the subject matter, and I shouldn't be.
There's a similarity with the second Doctor in a way that childlike recklessness.
Yeah. He always did have a bit of Patrick Troughton.
But that's I mentioned it earlier in the last week's one. Okay, that there is Matt Smith is inspired by the second incarnation. It was one of his favorites. That's why he takes some things of him. And he made his own Doctor, but he was inspired by the second by Patrick Troughton.
Yeah, because he said in his interviews, because that's another thing with Matt, he wasn't a fan going in at all. He obviously knew what Doctor Who was, but he wasn't a tenant who just knew it like the back of his hand. So he researched, and he talked about in interviews when he watched Tomb of the Cybermen, and just how that story captivated him, and Troughton's Doctor just captivated him.
We're just gonna highlight that research. There you go. There you go.
No, but that's the thing with Matt, which is so clever, because it's not a copy. Yeah. Well, no, it's not that. He's not copying Troughton.
No,
he's not. He's taken the idea of the clown in the room that Troughton started, and doing his own spin.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. But there was one difference in that childlike recklessness, that he had a grand scheme behind his actions. Matt Smith. And because
he sort of took that Troughton thing, but like I said, spun it of distracting his enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt was very good at that.
Yes, he had other tactics.
Yeah.
Because he believed that secrets make people safe in the journey to the center of the TARDIS. He was often deceptive and manipulative, habitually putting elaborate plans in place and executing them, even if his plans emotionally hurt his loved ones.
Yeah,
for example,
as River Song used to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. As River Song used to say, the Doctor lies.
Yes, that's him. That's him.
That's him. Yeah, completely. Yeah, completely.
Sadeko says, like I said, I remember Wendy Potbury say how she was impressed by him and assured us he was going to be a great doctor. I don't know if I was. I don't live in the UK, so I don't in that moment. I've never been in the UK, by the way. Never. I've never been in the UK in my life.
If you're ever in London, give me a shout, mate. I'll come and say hi.
Oh yes. I want to go. It's one of my wish list. I want to go to UK sometimes, and I meet all you people.
Charlotte, where's the nice parts of the UK? It's not taking him to the nasty bits like Central.
Well, I was going to say you offered London, and I wouldn't class that as nice. But
no, I'll say
another city. Have you got another city?
Yeah. No, Birmingham's not too great unless you're going to the outskirts. Charlotte, you know anywhere?
No.
So let's take him to the coast. Got to take him to Dorset or somewhere like that. You know, it's nice.
I know, but that'd be a nightmare for us all to get there.
Yeah, Dorset is a bit of a nightmare. Yeah. Problem's just down the road.
Yeah, I know. Wendy Petbury played Zoe, but I didn't know that she was recommending him.
Oh no, there's been a few ex-classic actresses who became agents for like doctors.
Yeah.
Because what's her name was an agent for a few of them. Tegan.
And that's why she saw a doctor in him, because she worked with Patrick Troughton. She was a companion of Patrick Troughton.
Yeah, so she would have seen what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Fraser Hines, she was a companion. The Doctor, Jamie.
See, that's why I would have loved in some like alternate universe if they did an episode with Matt's Doctor and Fraser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be.
Imagine those two sparking off each other.
That'd be electricity, mate.
It would be amazing, wouldn't it?
It'd be like watching like watching lightning in a bottle. It would just be impressive.
Oh, I get all the advice. Southport is also nice. However, when in an emergency, the Doctor will prefer to speak hard truths than try to falsely alleviate the situation by lying. But would be gentle with those who had no control over their actions, like Vincent and the Doctor, a very famous episode, one of my favorites. I noticed that it's very hard to make a top 10 list, by the way, for this Doctor, because they're also very good. Also, many good episodes.
If you think it's bad, imagine for me, I had to do it, and I was just like, this is painful. Because there was just so many that I was like, oh, what do I include? Oh, no, not that one. But no, I really want this one.
Yeah, I have made the top 5, but he changes all the time, the top 5.
Yes, I'm the same.
When I rewatch the series of Matt Smith, I constantly give other ratings, and then for a long time, Vincent Doctor was number one, but not anymore for me. It's not the most highly rated episode, Vincent the Doctor, because when you see it more times, then you can compare it to others, and then you can think, yeah, is the story is good and the emotions are good, but is it also enjoyable? And then you compare it with other episodes, and you see that, and oh no, I think this is more enjoyable for me. So every episode has its strong points.
Yeah, because I don't think this TARDIS team of Matt, Amy, and Rory ever gave a bad performance. It was just the writing. Hello, co-host. It was just the writing.
Scottish Davros. Yeah.
Hey, Daniel.
Yeah. Because I think it was just the writing sometimes that let them down. It was never the acting.
Mm-hmm. And one of the actresses of the Vampires of Venice, the actresses was recently was what can you call it?
Oh yes, she passed away.
She passed away. Yes. There was a very good character, one of the best characters, supporting characters in the.
She played a good
villain.
Very
good. Yes, a very good villain. Yeah. So, a strong believer in hope and redemption, the Doctor saw every life as important and meaningful, believing that every life was a pile of good things and bad things. That while the good things didn't always soften the bad
Ellen
things.
McCroy.
Yes. He also thought that the bad things didn't necessarily spoil the good things or make them unimportant. That's a very important phrase.
Yeah, that's Vincent. And
Vincent.
When I feel down, that is one scene that I do go back to, because I just think it's so perfect dialogue, and the way Matt delivers it.
Yes, and that is also this he says, the good things didn't always soften the bad things. And the bad things didn't necessarily spoil the good things or make them unimportant. We can take these words for encouragement for now.
Oh God, yes. But
without further details, she can. The encouragement is in these words of Matt Smith.
Yeah, and like I said, I just love that concept that. He's not saying like you ignore the bad things and they're not important, because that's sometimes when you try and give advice, I feel like sometimes if you're too positive, it does more harm. And what I love is that he's saying, yes, there's bad things, but you can't let those things corrupt the good memories you have. And I just think that's such a gorgeous, lovely message.
Yeah. Certainly is.
Sadeko says that should probably be the
epitaph, which is something you read at a funeral.
Yeah, it's final.
He tried to see the best in people, this Doctor, thinking that anyone would help someone else in need.
Yeah, always did.
Yeah. The 11th Doctor could be self-interested, eavesdropping on conversations about him, and I wanted to be impressive and admired, like for example in The Flesh of Stone, Amy's Choice, Impossible Astronaut, and The God Complex. He was a little bit he was a little bit he wanted to be admired.
Yeah, I would say
sensitive for admiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it wasn't the cockiness and the ego of Tennant. It was like a different version of that. It was.
Yeah. It was no arrogance or self.
It wasn't narcissism. It was just.
But it was more for they like to be admired in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just, like I said, he was very empathetic. This Doctor. Yeah. When he made a connection, he really made a connection.
Yeah.
So I think he just, at times, he just really liked to feel he was loved, like you said, and that he had this family that he built up around him.
Yeah.
Not to be a person admired, but being concerned about not being thought of as attractive, for example, Let's Kill Hitler. And frequently boasted about how impressive he thought he was. In the Possible Astronauts, you can see that very famous episode.
Yeah, I love the moment when River and everybody's talking and he just pops his head down. It's like, I've just made a really good speech and nobody's there to congratulate me or something. I can't remember the exact dialogue, but it was just such funny, brilliantly sort of timed.
And also the snowman with Clara, I think. Yeah. However, it was not really arrogance. What we just said, it was not really arrogance, but it was more to hide his insecurities.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
For the doctor's wife, for example, for Good Man Goes to War.
Yeah.
So he needed that to boast about himself to hide his insecurities more. This not arrogance.
Yeah, he needed reassurance, this doctor.
Yes, more assurance and more confirmation that he is doing a good job or he's doing good things. That he's a good doctor, actually. In fact. And I felt also some guilt sometimes. You can see that in some episode. Some guilt about his past companion's life, or to ruin his past companion's lives.
Oh yeah,
Amy.
Yeah. Well, that's what the first episode of Clara is. He's basically put himself on a cloud and he's just moping, which we said that Tennant was sort of known for.
Yeah. I think that was a nice thing about Matt. He still had a little bit of David Tennant in him, in his character. So these little David Tennant moments.
That was a complete Tennant moment, but once again, it wasn't a copy.
No.
Like that, it came across as he put himself on that cloud and he didn't have companions and he'd sort of locked himself away from the world. Whereas when Tennant was feeling like that, it made him more outwardly full of himself. Whereas with Matt, he retreated.
Yeah.
He sort of became less. He sort of became this sort of hermit-like character.
Yeah. Which you see a lot when Peter Capaldi when it comes up. Comes a bit more a hermit when he gets a bit, when he feels down and miserable and dour.
So what I said, he found it difficult to stay still for long. It was always in action. You can say a little bit ADHD.
ADHD.
A little bit.
Yeah.
He wanted to stay for long. It was always what I just in the beginning of the stream said. He was always looking for adventure and I need to keep himself entertained because he'd lose his mind out of boredom. You can see that, by the way, literally that he was bored when he is in the house of what do we do all the time, Amy and Rory? And he's bored. He's mowing the grass and he's that scene. He was so bored. He was so bored.
That's the only good bit of that episode because, like I said, it's such a brilliant thing just to show. Yes, the Doctor can't just sit and have a normal life. He has to constantly be on the move. And with Matt, that was, I think, times 10.
Yeah.
Like Matt is it's such a to look at you just think, oh, he's just flapping his arms about, and sort of that became a joke with his Doctor, wasn't it? But you actually look at what he's doing. It's all like the raggedy arms flapping, but it's controlled. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, a bit of Tom Baker as well. He always used to hate being sitting around doing nothing and just generally been bored out of his brain. I mean, in real life as well, he used to get bored with people on set because they just say the same things over and over again. But with Tom Baker in it.
In comparison to other doctors, he had a poor concept of time. He was not really, it was not really.
Oh God, Amy, God, like when he's like, why are you acting like this? And she's like, 4 years. Oh, that scene when they're like, he's walking into Ledworth with her, and she does the whole like, 4 years, 3 psychiatrists. Why did you have free because I bit them. It's just brilliant Moffat dialogue.
Yeah.
By the way, the Karen Gillan who played Amy, and she had a very strong non-verbal. You can see on her face when he was not happy with things, or she didn't understand it, or she was not happy with things.
Oh yeah, when she was angry.
You can see that on her non-verbal. She didn't need words to explain to the doctor that she was not happy with some things.
Well, no, but it's like that moment in 11th Hour when he says, "Just believe me for 10 more minutes," and it's just a scene of them looking at each other like properly in the eye, and there's no dialogue, and you can see then she believes she's back to being that little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also it did a series of tasks in an hour without realizing the amount of time that had passed in Power of Three. That was the Power of Three.
Yeah.
Yeah. And despite his impatience, he enjoyed reading. You can see that in Night Terrors with the puppets, I think, was it? Or
yeah, but I'm trying to think. Was that reading you saw in that?
Or the dolls, the dolls in the cupboard.
With the dolls.
Yeah, but was it not more to do with the Manhattan episode because he was reading River's book?
Oh yeah.
That's the
also,
one.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
Night of the Angels, that was.
He was often sitting down with a book in moments of leisure. So from the Anglo-State Manhattan and the Snowman also, Bells of St. John,
yeah.
And then the special Day of the Doctor.
Oh yeah, and he had those really old man's.
And he had also sometimes he had glasses on.
Yeah.
Very small ones that properly would look like something William Hartnell would wear.
Yeah, or Peter Davison had also sometimes some glasses on.
Yeah. But
it was more for it to be interesting, not for reading.
Yeah. Well, Amy's reading glasses, and he kept them.
Yes, he kept them. The round glasses.
Right. Yeah.
Well, able to find positive outlooks in negative situations, he preferred to settle up problems through negotiation rather than violence.
He got slapped a few times, though, didn't he?
He was willing to fight and kill when he deemed it necessary, as well as physically intimidate someone when he was suppressing his anger. More doctors had these tactics, more than not using violence, but more with words or.
See, that's what I really enjoyed.
Wars, yeah,
but that's what I enjoyed with Matt, because by the end of Tennant's run, I was getting fed up of if he wasn't happy or angry, he would shout loads.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we got to Matt, he always spoke quiet. And if you notice, that's the sign that he's angry. That if he goes quieter. And he does this quite a lot. He sort of goes a lot more deliberate and quiet.
Yeah.
And he sort of just, by the end, he's like stone sort of face as well. And it's just, for me, that's more interesting to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
While he could succumb to emotional outbursts or rudeness when under stress, he would apologize for his words and actions once he had calmed down. But it was very quick. He had some emotional outbursts at the moment when he uses his voice a little bit harsh or rude, but he immediately apologizes when he calmed down. He was really, how you call it, emotional stable.
Yeah.
I
In that point,
think it was unstable. I think it was just. I don't think it was unstable. I think it took a lot for this Doctor to flip.
Yeah.
He wasn't one to easily flip. It was like he would give you the chances, and if you really did something horrible, that's when it would. Like the Daleks, for example, like other enemies. That's when otherwise he would be quite cordial. But that was a sign that you'd really messed up if you got Matt's Doctor angry.
Yeah, look at the asylum of the Daleks when he realises what the asylum is and how disgusted he is.
Yeah, and he even says that the line of "just when I think you can't think of any other ways to disgust me," I can't think use that word, but you can see then it's like I hate you anyway because you're Daleks, but even this is low.
Yeah, lower than low.
Yeah. And we can see it all very strongly in the episode of the Almost People when he is a little bit under stress.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when he basically like puts Amy towards a wall and is like really close and like, but that's because he's angry at the way she's treating the ganger.
Yeah.
He was also a doctor who tried to make new friends wherever he went, taking the time to get to know their names and some details. He was really interested in people. This doctor.
Yeah, he was a chatty one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are incarnations who are more reserved, but the doctor was really open to he really wanted to know, and really was really interested in the lives of the people, more in detail, the details of that.
Yeah.
And
he was a people person.
Yeah, a people person. More than Tennant was more. Was not different. There was a difference between.
Tennant used to like hide. It's like hiding in a crowd, but Matt Smith would talk to the crowd.
Yes, that's right. That's the one. That's a good description.
The crowd. Yeah.
Yes, that's a good description, PD. That's a really good description. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aware that he was more absent-minded than his predecessors, the 11th Doctor got distracted easily, disregarding important matters once he noticed something that he found more interesting, like Flesh and Stone. And he thought aloud when he was panicking or stressed, thinking aloud, and tended to babble about what he knew about the current situation to come up with a plan, believing that he would have one when he finished talking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Matt Doctor never had a plan going into anything.
Yeah. But it would also take credit if a situation resolved itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can also see on screen very easily. You can see very clear that the Doctor would immensely be disappointed with himself if he let others down, or had broken a promise he had made. So you can see that really in him.
You can see I remember more the promise thing.
Yeah.
Which is so whenever he did it, you sort of went, oh, don't, because you're going to set yourself up to like fail.
Yeah. He always did that, didn't he?
It's like you said, you could see, whereas the other Doctors, yes, they would do the promise thing, but you almost felt like they'd be sad, but it wouldn't linger. Whereas with Matt's Doctor, it felt like every promise he broke, he carried.
Yeah. He'd always bring the little girl back, but it doesn't. But her dog, that was another matter. You know what I mean?
Yes, I loved Wendell. I loved his speech in the Petorca stories thing at Stonehenge.
Oh, that was Words Win War. That was the whole scene. What kind of scene was cool? Was when he shouts out, "I'm the Doctor." That great bit of Murray Gold music.
Oh yeah, it was basically the Doctor boasting.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just the Doctor stood there boasting, saying, "I've defeated every one of you people. Yeah. What do you think you're going to do? Or do you know what, PD? You get this. It was basically him saying, "Do you think you're hard enough?"
Yeah, come and go if you think you're hard enough. And they had to go in a different way, and he goes, "Oh." Had a Jack Sparrow moment, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
While I knew it was important to hold on tragedy as motivation in the face of adversity, the 11th Doctor would not dwell on despair, choosing instead to move on with his life. Yeah. But would still take a period to mourn when he lost someone. For example, in The Snowman.
Yeah, he kind of did that with the Time War.
Clara. Yeah.
He did that with the Time War because he wasn't really phased by the Time War as much as 10th was.
Well, I think because I recently watched the 50th again, and I think the vibes I was getting from Matt's Doctor was he was processing it and he was learning to put it a bit in the background, like it's never going to go away because of what the Time War was.
Yeah,
and that's why. But like you said, that was what made Tennant's Doctor so furious.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
he-
kind of like he hit the 7th stage and he actually got acceptance, if you know
yeah,
what I mean.
it was acceptance with Matt, whereas with
Yeah.
10 it was still fresh. So to hear Matt say basically, I don't count the children anymore.
Yeah.
He was like, how can you just forget that? And Matt was like, I don't, but I need to move on.
Yeah, he's accepted it. Yeah. 10th never accepted it. Yeah, that was always something I liked about Matt. He kind of accepted the time war, was moving on.
But saying that though, that scene in the 50th when he first sees the painting.
Yeah.
Talk about non-verbal acting in that moment, because
Oh yeah.
you can see every pain, every bit of anger. That it was almost like seeing 9 and 10 again for a second.
Yeah.
With the way Matt acted, but like you said, the more he was interacted, the more you could see, yes, the pain wasn't gone, it was just not as raw anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of got to acceptance, as I said, yeah. So we've seen it from 9th through to 11th. We've seen the whole kind of the stages of grief, haven't we? Really.
Oh yeah.
So that's the interesting thing. I didn't realise it until kind of recently, until Charlotte turned around and told us about the kind of the post-traumatic stress of the 9th Doctor, and I went, "Wow, yeah, just a minute." And now I'm seeing it in Matt. He's come to terms with it.
And like the ultimate version of that is Capaldi in Heaven Sent.
Yeah.
There's an encouragement for Charlotte. Daniel
says this.
Yes. Yeah, both a positive outlook on life.
Yeah.
With Doctor.
Yeah, and Matt's my doctor, so I wouldn't be surprised if I've sort of subconsciously took some of the positivity from him.
Yeah.
And when Dorothy
but
says,
you can see that in the way Matt acts, though. Even if it didn't turn out writing-wise, you can see Matt having a bit of that Jack Sparrow attitude, like we were saying.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what I liked about Matt, though. He had the Jack Sparrow attitude. One of my biggest positives about Matt, and what I kind of got to grips in being the Doctor, is he had a bit of a Jack Sparrow attitude. I liked that. It was, it was a bit kind of bohemian. It was a bit kind of, a bit kind of rogue, but in a positive kind of way. A bit unhinged in a good kind of way.
The 11th Doctor had a tendency towards self-loathing for his actions, such as holding himself accountable for the actions of his enemies when they put his friends in danger or when he failed to stop them. And in an imaginary interrogation session with his previous incarnations, Doctor imagined them all leaving him in disgust and disgrace after he made the claim that he always had things better than he found them. The 11th Doctor also had an intense sadness that was almost an exhaustive pain.
I was going to say, you also saw that in the Cyberman story when he was doing chess with himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what that was basically a massive self-loathing session.
Yeah. Good episode as well.
But there was also some sadness in this Doctor, intense sadness. That was almost an exhaustive pain, and with Amy concluding that he was lonely inside. That was in the very beginning. There was some, she sensed some loneliness in him. But I think because it is main reason is the previous Doctor was in his last days was also alone, and he carried it with him a little bit. That loneliness. He lost many. He lost some people, and there was some loneliness in him.
Well, and that really, we saw that in the Doctor's wife, because think about, we said how 10 reacted just at the idea that some Time Lords were coming back. He was absolutely petrified. What does Matt Doctor do when he gets that message he thinks from the Corsair?
Yeah,
he goes running straight to it.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely furious when he works out that it's fake.
Yeah.
And you can see it, and you can see that hope that he had at the beginning. And as soon as, because you can see his attitude just change for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
And you get that brilliant line when House says, "Fear me." Like I've killed Time Lords or something, and then Matt's response is, "Fear me, I've killed them all."
Yeah.
And it's just, oh, that's such an like I said, that's what I love with Matt's run. I think he's got some of the best dialogue.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Doctor and the Doctor's character.
Best one-liners, doesn't he? It's the best.
Is it the episode where the TARDIS is in a woman, in the woman?
Oh yeah, and like and the scene when she's dying and Matt's talking to her.
Oh, it's very good scenes.
And you just think, oh, he's so happy. He's like, and he even says like, I can finally talk to you. Why can't we do this all the time?
Yeah.
And then her response is, which always gets me close to tears, even though I've seen that episode multiple times, which is, oh, I'm trying to think of a word. And then she ends with, hello. And it's just such perfect, pitch perfect writing. That's Gaiman, though, when he's at his best.
Yeah.
Because that was Neil Gaiman's episode.
It certainly was.
There's also a good episode, The Hungry Earth. You can see that you can see when he is interrogating Alaya, that he says that he missed Gallifrey and admitted he still felt the loneliness of being the last of his kind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, and when the Doctor was given a ray of hope that he wasn't the last of the Time Lords and turned out to be a trap, he reacted with a quite rage. He also expressed a desire to be forgiven what he had done in the Time War in the Doctor's wife. Also, but, so the Hungry Earth is an episode with more stories, more ideas. I think. The Hungry Earth.
I think the core ideas of that is a good story. It's just it's a flaming Chibnall one, so the execution's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The companions are is Amy and Rory. The relation with Rory is very different as the relation with Amy. But you can see that in the beginning, Rory is still a sidekick, or you can say that, and then he becomes a full companion of the Doctor, and you can see some dynamics between them.
I almost think Moffat at the beginning was purposely, in a nice way, aping Russell when it comes to the boyfriend that nobody wants, sort of tagging along.
Yeah,
and then a bit of Mickey Smith again, but he actually, instead of, even though I do like Mickey Smith's development, it did feel a little bit rushed, and I feel like in Rory it was a better, more done development, because you really did see him starting off in the 11th hour to what he became, like when he became that full companion, and how brave he was.
Yeah, it was really a good. Because you say it. I mean, Rory are one, in my opinion. The one you have one, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah. They're a team.
It's so male chemistry, and when you only have Amy, then you miss. Rory is the one that completed. Yeah, really.
I think Rory became the voice of reason, which you appreciated.
Right. Yeah, he questioned the Doctor in sometimes, and you bring dangers. You endanger your people who are traveling with you.
Oh yeah, that was in Venice, because he.
That was in Venice. That was also a good scene when he confronted the Doctor.
He basically points out and says, "Why do you think Amy's doing all this dangerous stuff? It's to impress you."
Yeah, that was one of the good, one of my favorite scenes when he confronted the Doctor. That moment.
Yeah, and the Doctor, and I've said this again and again. Every Doctor needs to have a grounding moment of somebody who's not a companion or somebody who's connected with a companion to say, "No, look at what you're doing." And it was Rory. That's what Rory did in that moment, and you could see. I think that's when Matt started to respect him, and that just grew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there comes a moment when he loses Amy and Rory to the Weeping Angels in Angels Take Manhattan.
Yeah.
And then the Doctor exiled himself to 1892 London, referring to him as being retired in The Great Detective. And I swore to himself to no more meddling. But and he remained in strict solitude, steering away from his adventures for a time. It was all about losing Amy and Rory at that moment. But there came a new companion, and that is Clara Oswald. Clara Oswald.
Well, technically it was a Paternoster gang until Clara was hanging around with the Paternoster gang again.
Yeah.
Actually, that was the first time we saw. Was that the first time we saw them? No,
yeah. First
time together we saw them.
Yeah, it was when we saw the trio for the first time. We'd seen the others as separate characters before.
We met Jenny and Madame Vastra and Strax on their own, but we never saw them all together. That was the first time you saw the Paternoster as a Paternoster gang.
With Candyman, Sontaran.
Yeah.
Oh God, Strax.
Okay.
I like Strax. He was funny.
It's the Candyman.
I like the actor,
Dan
but
Starkey,
God, that was the beginning of me going, Moffat, stop.
I like Strax though. He was funny. He used to call girls boys and boys girls.
Yeah, but that's the problem for me. It was too on the nose.
The Sontarans don't have sexes.
Well, no, it wasn't just that. It was just like, I get it, you're Sontaran, so half the time you sound like you're going to kill somebody, but you're not because you're a nursemaid. And it was just like, oh, no, Moffat.
He was a contradiction. That's why Strax was funny.
Was he eating chocolate in that story of?
No, he was touching the memory worm.
Don't give me flashbacks from Sunday night, please. This is a positive stream.
That's why Strax isn't in it anymore, because he's too fat. He's just a giant bulge. He's just bulge, yeah. Because he made us survive to the 20th century. He's just this giant bulge. He's like, oh, I'm coming. My armor doesn't fit anymore.
The Paternoster gang got really cringe, but I'm not gonna lie. I did love Strax, but that's down to Dan Starkey. Yeah, that's right. He played it very well. That's the best Sontaran for me in all history of Doctor Who.
Oh, when he's just given dry lines, like that thing he did, was it during the lockdowns? That was hilarious. The whole Moffat taking the mick thing, like he was, but that's because maybe it was in a small dose, so I found it funny.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've just seen Strax looking like Beauregard now. So I'm just going to roll him. Oh!
But I really agree with Kelly. Dan Starkey is great. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was Strax the other day? He is a Sontaran after all.
Yeah, but he's not a fighting one, so he wouldn't be used in a frontline assault, would he?
Yeah. Would he be like? And why wasn't he helping Kate Stewart?
Because it's Moffat's run, and you can't reference before the current run. It's not allowed unless
you can't have good characters. We can't have good characters. We can only borrow good characters, and only borrow 2 of them or 1 of them. But, I get it now. I get it.
Yeah, Clara is in the first. Clara is in that story is killed by the ice governess. And the Doctor tried to bargain with the universe by saving the Earth from the great intelligence to save Clara, believing that he was owed a victory, but he instead sailed with adventure again to uncover the mystery of Clara's connection to Oswin Oswald. There was a story with Oswin Oswald in before. So he wanted to solve. He wanted to solve the mystery. He wanted to know who is this Clara? Who is? Oswin Oswald?
That was the start of the Impossible Girl.
Yes, that's right. There was a connection. So that was also one of the things the Doctor was busy with. we go to do things. Oh yeah, though he initially hated certain foods, such as apples and bacon, because of new mouth, he eventually came to like them in the Lord Sir.
Yeah.
That was with the actor, the Lord Sir.
James Corden.
James
James
Corden
Corden.
before he was hateable.
Yeah.
Before,
Horrible hater.
indeed, when he became very irritating before that.
Yeah.
Before he started
And we used to
producing
actually like
bad
him in this
musicals.
country.
Yeah, in the beginning, when I saw him, it was very enjoyable, and I liked it. I laughed about it, but now it's now different, very different.
Yeah, and to be fair, him and Matt were really good together. You could tell they were like they got on off like screen, and they were good mates, which they are still, I think.
Yeah, they were drinking a beer after all the sessions. They were really good. There was really good chemistry between them. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant chemistry.
He was not so fan of drinking any kind of wine.
No, he spat it out like a child.
Yes, John Pertwee was a really one who enjoyed wine, but he knows not.
Yeah, it was originally Pertwee. Wine and
I
cheese.
am the doctor.
The one. Wine and cheese was Pertwee. He liked wine and cheese, fine dining.
Cheese. It was also cheese. Oh, delicious! I'm really addicted to cheese. I have always cheese on my sandwiches. Really,
I eat too much
mustard. With mustard, you know that cheese with mustard.
Wow, I never thought of having it with mustard before.
That's really delicious.
Yeah. I do like my brie. I'm afraid to say, I like a bit of brie.
Brie.
Brie, yeah, I like a lot of French.
That is French cheese.
I know. It's one of my foibles.
Can you know camembert?
Camembert is a stronger version, isn't it? Similar to brie.
I really like brie and camembert also. Oh,
yeah.
Is it on toast?
Welcome to the food channel.
Oh, it's good.
Oh, yes, welcome. Oh, the food with
toasted sandwich with brie melting and some pickle. Oh, that's good. He's gonna go away to eat in a second.
Yeah. I have some brie in my fridge.
Goes good at jacket potato as well, brie. It melts with a jacket potato.
Yeah. I had some chicken soup tonight.
Yeah.
Really delicious chicken soup.
Yeah, vegetable earlier. Sorry, we're turning to the food channel.
Yes, by the way, he favored his combination with fish fingers and custard.
Yeah.
Have someone eaten that in the past?
It wasn't actually fish fingers they used.
It became a thing, though, didn't it? As soon as the episode aired.
It wasn't a fish finger? Was it something
actually
different?
A fish finger?
No, it wasn't.
What was it?
Oh, I can't remember. But PD, you are right.
Shortbread or something, wasn't it?
We call it fish sticks here in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Fish sticks.
Yeah. Fish sticks are something different over here. The Japanese.
But it looks like fish sticks. It looks like fish sticks. When I see eating fish fingers, I thought it was fish sticks.
Some kind of biscuit, wasn't it?
I think fish fingers is a very British sort of term, isn't it, PD? The impression I've always got.
Fish sticks is something different over here.
Yeah.
It's those Japanese seafood, processed seafood sticks. Fish sticks over here.
Cheese, the lesson. Cheesy. Are we cheesy?
I can't remember. It was actually eating something different. It wasn't fish fingers.
Yeah, because obviously they I think it was because obviously you do multiple takes. So obviously a lot of the time if they're eating in a scene, it's not actual food. It's telling you, is it?
Yeah.
So I remember.
He also liked Jenny Dodgers most of all, but also had a liking for cake.
Yeah. Coconut breaded cakes. I thought so. Yeah. They were coconut breaded cakes disguised to look like fish fingers. It was eating all sweet food. That's what he was eating. I just looked it up now. So like little coconut cakes. I knew there was some kind of biscuit or cake or something. So he was eating cakes with it. So they ate cakes and custard. So they weren't real fish fingers.
This is so cheesy. The doctor. The cake. Candyman can.
Yeah.
Doctor
Then again, he always had a thing about biscuits and cakes, didn't he? The 11th Doctor with Jammy Dodgers as well.
Yeah, but are you that surprised? He was constantly on an energy rush. It just makes sense.
He was getting scones
sugar rush.
Getting scones in the Bells of St. John, wasn't he, as well? Cakes and scones, muffins. Oh.
I think that's one of the reasons why so many fans like this Doctor. That this is one of the most favorite Doctors because they can identify with him. He's so young in his things. He's enjoying adventure. He likes delicious food, and I can imagine that the Matt Smith was a really popular Doctor. In that sense, he can because people can see that and identify with him.
He was very popular in the States, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That was the Doctor that broke America.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think in the States
That's right.
And obviously, I'm not American, so any American friends you could answer this, but I've always got the impression he's even bigger than Tennant when it comes to Doctors in America.
He was. Gary from Rotic would tell you he was huge. It was because he rode on the back of the Harry Potter franchise. It kind of disappeared.
Was that initiated by Stephen Moffat to do more to go outside to go to America?
So they started doing Comic Cons, and Matt always used to be in attendance with whoever the companion was.
Yeah, and Matt just on a panel, he can just work a crowd as well. Like Tennant can. But Matt was the start of the Doctors being at Comic Con.
Yeah. As I said, the 11th Doctor won't hide in the crowd. He'll start entertaining the crowd. Matt was certainly like that.
Oh yeah, you could see the sort of the comedy that you saw in Matt's Doctor was Matt.
Yeah. He literally started entertaining the crowd. Everyone loved him at Comic Con.
Yeah, I said like I've abused my sweet tooth too much over the years. Now I can't enjoy Kenny like I used to.
Yeah, and
now Rachel Doc is a big fan of him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Doctor loved visiting new planets and having new experiences. His favorite places in time and space included 1963 London, 1892 the Lake Distinct in 1927. And his favorite spaces included the Ood and the Kale, the town called Mercy.
Yeah.
There's also a famous episode, a town called Mercy, with a moral story.
Yeah, we should be doing the town of Mercy called Mercy next week on the TARDIS Zone.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it'd be this Sunday coming. Oh, no, it'd be next Sunday, won't it?
Next Sunday, I think. Next Sunday. Well, one Sunday. Sometime like that. What are we doing this Sunday?
Yeah.
I think we're doing a wrap-up, PD. I think it's a wrap-up. That's all I'll say.
Oh, the wrap-up of the headache. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The headache tablet, the paracetamol session. Yeah. Well, sorry. I'll correct that. The Sunday after, we should be doing Town Called Mercy. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Which I like. I know a lot of people don't, but I really like that episode.
It's not a bad episode, that one. It's a power of free that everyone gets, I find baffling, but Town Called Mercy is fine. I'm fine with Town Called Mercy. It's a better episode.
Also, Doctor had a fondness of strange words such as shenanigans, and almost people, toggle in height. 11th Doctor also liked museums.
Oh yeah.
In Time of the Angels and fluid controls. Sweets.
And it's
football
biscuits.
Yeah, football.
Yeah,
yeah. Then he plays football in the lodger.
Yeah, but that's Matt because.
Yeah, that was really weird to see the Doctor playing football.
Because basically, Matt was gonna be a pro footballer at one point. That was his ambition, and he was relatively. Like obviously amateur or before you become pro, apparently he was quite good, but he got an injury. I can't remember what it was now. I don't know if it's a leg or back injury, and it just meant he couldn't do football. So he just went, right, what am I going to do now? I'll do acting.
Yeah.
He also liked big, flashy, lighty things, cupboards, video games. In Ace Stick Manhattan, he liked video games, playing video games. And
hi, Cam. Cam's just popped in.
Hey, Cam.
Hey, Cam.
Cam. Hello.
How you doing?
The Doctor also showed a fondness for music and claimed to have played with various composers and musicians in the Asylum of the Daleks and Dinosaurs on the Spaceship.
Yeah, we played the triangle in like a big long classical piece of music. I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
He also liked the Beatles.
That's right.
And I thought that Ringo Starr was the most unappreciated member of the band.
Yeah.
He still lives, by the way, Ringo Starr. We're together with Paul McCartney, as still the surviving members of the Beatles.
Yeah. He had a hair implant, Ringo, because he's not bald anymore, is he?
Yeah, he was the drummer, I think.
Yeah, he was drummer. Richard Starkey or Ringo Starr. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got hair again now. I saw him in a video. What?
Is it implanted?
Yeah, it's probably got hair implants now. Yeah, I think so. Seems to have his hair back.
He appeared to greatly dislike the chicken dance, even grimacing upon hearing it and plugging his ears in The Power of Three. The Doctor felt distressed when the subject of his future came into question in Almost People, preferring to keep his goodbyes short and swift, and wanted to avoid his future rather than investigate it in Time of the Angels. He was in that indeed Doctor who avoided his future.
No, when you saw the Trenzalore stuff start to come into play, you saw how scared he was.
Yeah.
It was again. He was camouflaging his insecurities and fears in some dark expression, dark mode. It became a little bit darker, the tone, and
as soon as Trenzalore started
then you became more serious, and you see another side of him. But still, you can see the old Matt of the old Doctor from the beginning. But he was aware, but of his end, but he avoided it very much. He avoided it very much.
Yeah,
I think. Because he disliked also the endings.
Oh yeah, because he would tear the last page out of books.
Yeah, hate endings.
Yeah, hate endings.
Yeah.
However, he knew that things had to end in order for new things to begin. He was aware of that also.
Considering all the stuff he was before, his goodbye speech is probably one of the most upbeat, positive goodbye speeches that any Doctor's given.
Yeah, that was a good scene. That was a brilliant scene.
I will always remember when the Doctor was me.
Yeah. I think he should have had another season. I think Matt should have had another season.
Yeah.
I'd love to have Matt have had another, because it just got good with him. He just got kind of Doctor I wanted him to be, and then he regenerates.
I think Matt regrets it though. When you see him in interviews now, I think in hindsight, he would have done that fourth series.
Yeah.
Was he offered another season or?
No, I think the story goes, or this is the one that obviously fandom's been passed around, that he got offered at the beginning of series 3. They basically said, "Do you want to carry on or do you want to go?" And because he was getting a bit of skittish feet, and he wanted to sort of do Hollywood and the bigger movie thing, he said at the beginning, sorry, of series 3, yeah, I'll regenerate. This is my final one.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he left, he very much regretted saying, "I'll go at that point." Because I think that's the thing. I think right at the beginning they said, "Do you want to carry on?" Like there wasn't plans for him to definitely go. But at his third series, it was just the way it fell for Matt.
Yeah. And they cast Peter before Day of the Doctor, so he had to go in the end. They couldn't hold Peter back because he just left the Musketeers to do it. So it was a bit of a you're going to completely. He has to go, or you're going to completely inconvenience Peter Capaldi. He didn't want to do that.
Reflecting on bygone times or thinking about a season of his life coming to close saddened him, and especially if it concerned his own mortality. In Death of the Doctor, Clouding Time, Power of Three, Instinct Manhattan. Despite his dislike of looking back on his previous lives, Big Bang, he was comfortable with keeping mementos of his past, and enjoyed seeing old friends in The Death of the Doctor.
Oh yeah. Spin-off. Good spin-off.
He was afraid of spiders and got scared of ghost trains, and also disliked monologues, clowns, Rubik's cubes. Also Night Terrors, he said, when he played with a Rubik's cube from the 80s, was a very popular.
Yeah, they
Rubik's
were.
Cube. I have, I played with a Rubik's cube. I had a Rubik's cube.
My sister had one.
Versions.
She took all the stickers off and put them in a different place, so it all looked like it was complete. She used to cheat.
And he also and teleportation. He was disliked teleportation. It was by the way, was a doctor didn't meet the Jack. I think it was not Jack in it, or
no, he wasn't in that.
No. Because he saw the universe as vast and complicated and ridiculous, where everything was forever growing and shrinking, creating and destroying and never remaining the same for a single millisecond, the Doctor believed that impossible things were the result of miracles in the Pandora opens. In the beginning, it was a very Pandora opens was very mysterious episode for me in the beginning. But because I wanted to know the plot, but after I rewatched it, I saw it. But it took some time to understand the Pandora opens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was. Oh yeah, God, that was the beginning of me going after an episode. Moffat, I feel like my brain hurts.
It was a Back to the Future one, wasn't it? It was like one of those paradoxical Back to the Future episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I had to explain it to Noel. So it's like Back to the Future, Noel. They're doing
stuff me and you. That's true. We were like, no, this is how it works, even though it took me a while to get to that stage to explain that episode. Yeah. Just naturally, but I can roughly now.
Yeah, we go through. It's like Back to the Future and Bill and Ted, the way they said they're going to do something later, so it happens in the past. It's one of them. It was one of them episodes. Cause and effect.
So he believed that one should never ignore a coincidence unless they were busy, because it was the universe did for fun, and that they should never knowingly be serious. Though he claimed he was always serious, but had days off. And he also saw board signs as suggestions rather than orders. And he viewed Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays afternoons as boring times, but liked Saturdays, believing them to be temporal tipping points where anything was possible.
Yeah, that was wink to the audience completely.
Yeah. Impossible astronaut.
Yeah, true Sadako. Sadako was Bill and Ted logic. That's what we're trying to explain to Noel. Oh, God. Sadako just said in the chat that it was Bill and Ted logic, and I said, yeah, it was definitely Bill and Ted logic in the Big Bang.
While he could get annoyed when others ignored him due to kissing each other, and was extremely confused on what to do after River and Clara kissed him for the first time, the 11th Doctor was good at giving relationship advice. Christmas Carol and Hyde.
He was good at giving it, but
Christmas Carol.
I loved about this Doctor, all the romancy stuff from Tennant era had gone. This Doctor had no interest whatsoever in romancing his companions.
Yeah. But he was able to give relationship advice. For example, by A Christmas Carol,
he did have romance.
The guy asked to Matt, "What must I do? Want there isn't some kiss go."
Well, not even that. He basically got Amy and Rory's marriage back together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He did have romance, though. He had a lot of romance with River Song.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. It never felt like he was looking for it, or his Doctor was interested in it.
No. Yeah. He was in love with the TARDIS. The TARDIS was his first love, always.
There was one example that he could become quite flirty with those he knew would be annoyed by his friendly remarks in Impossible Astronaut.
Yeah.
However, he rejects the idea of being intimate with his friends. That's what Charlotte is saying.
Yeah.
Doing everything he could stop Amy kissing him when she tried to seduce him in the Flesh of Stone. This is like being sniffed in the Dr. Pierce. Yes.
Oh, yeah, because she jumps him in that scene, and he doesn't have a clue what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if that was any other bloke being kissed like that, they'd be loving it. Let's just put it that way. Because Karen's a good-looking woman.
By the way, time. Talking about the time, very. Believing that time was not the boss of him, the 11th Doctor firmly believed that time could be rewritten. So that is very encouraging to know for now. Time can be rewritten. Time is a person, by the way. And we know for...
Yeah, it's a character now. It's now a character.
So time could be rewritten. So there is some hope.
Can he change himself to look like the Doctor? Yeah, it can be rewritten, yeah.
Yeah, that's because 11th Doctor firmly believed that. So there is some encouragement, by the way.
I know. It'll make me cry in a minute.
Behind the scenes.
Oh yeah. As I said the other day, I said Prometheus made more sense. At least it was a coherent film.
What do you say? No, Martha. Daniel says Karen is hot, but it is Martha. So is he still changing his?
I think he has lots of
opinion. Martha is not for him anymore. It was his wife.
Oh
Martha.
No. Daniel has a list.
Oh, a list.
And there's multiple actresses that he fancies on it.
Oh, I see.
And I don't care what you say in the chat now, Daniel. You've said this plenty of times on our streams. It's known that you have a list.
Daniel's list. This is going to come out on TARDIS, isn't it?
We have become a live stream about his
Daniel's list.
Daniel's list.
Jeez, don't, Daniel. Just don't ever do that. Just no.
So, however, he knew that history could not be changed at random in the Vampires of Venice, and that events had to happen if they had already been experienced. For example, in Let's Kill Hitler, also in a strange episode, by the way, as well as avoiding changing fixed point in time in the wedding of River Song. But was willing to take advantage of temporal tipping points to change history for the better in cold blood. So he was playing with time.
Yeah.
The 11th Doctor didn't think of himself as a good man. A good man goes to war. Being more susceptible to becoming more vicious and more unforgiving when he didn't have company to restrain his dark side.
That's
In
it,
a
yeah.
town called Mercy.
Yeah, he needed a human companion to balance him out.
Yeah, there's also in the main thing for the Doctor, he needs companions to. Yeah.
Same with Donald Noble and the 10th Doctor.
But it works both ways, by the way. The Doctor makes the companions better. That's the plan. But also another way, the companion makes the Doctor better. That's our main ingredients of this show. In all, both sides make the parties better. The companions make the Doctor better, and the Doctor makes the companions better. And when that works, then the most of the time the series is good. I think one of the main ingredients of Doctor Who, one of the main strong points of the show is if that works well. I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you need that dynamic. It can't just be the Doctor and the companion not give anything or add anything to it, and vice versa.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we also have the story with the star whale. You know that? But,
BVOLEN.
There's a moment when he was prepared to euthanize the star whale.
Yeah,
when he thought it was the safest option to keep the starship.
Yeah, because he says like I've got 3 options or something.
Yeah.
Because I either let this thing carry on in pain and torture.
Yeah.
I know the 2 options, or I kill it, like I make it brain dead.
Euthanize it, yeah.
Because that was the way he couldn't see the sort of the other way, and it took Amy to say, no, we're going to try this 3rd option. But that was the beauty of that moment.
Yeah.
She saw the Doctor in the star whale, so that's how she knew that if she let it free, it wouldn't go away. It would carry on protecting the children.
Yeah.
So it's such brilliant sort of the companion getting the Doctor and using that knowledge to save the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Daniel, my list is nowhere near as long as yours.
This is very detailed. I'm not even going into this.
Oh, we are very curious. But it was very strong, that episode, because he was about to commit that and for the star whale, but they say that he won't be the Doctor as he does it, and refuse to hear anything from Amy and Les 10. And then Amy comes in action, and he realized, that was the good decision of Amy.
Yeah,
it was. That's one of the. I think that is one of the things, why this show is so good. That you need that dynamic. Indeed, what you just said, you need that the dynamic between the companion and Doctor. They make them each other better.
Yeah,
in that way, better Doctor, a better companion. And that worked in the past, and that worked. That working also in the classic. Who you see that the Doctor makes the companions better. Also, and then also in the new era, you see that it works still. It works still. That it's needed, very needed.
Yeah.
It's also showed a disdain for guns, and the Doctor was willing to use a gun in non-harmful ways in the time of the Angels, or to threaten his adversaries in a town called Mercy, when he is playing a sheriff. And he also disliked knives. He disliked weapons in the main.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, and much
That's
like
it was always really evocative when you saw Matt with a gun.
Yeah.
Because it just, I sort of sometimes, Tennant rarely would do it as well, but I almost would buy him because of the Time War experience. Yeah. Whereas with Matt, it just felt so odd to see him with one.
Yeah. It was more like a tool to him. He always used them as a tool, not a weapon.
Much like his previous incarnation, the 11th Doctor felt his age when it took him a long time to figure things out. Yeah, it took really his time to figure things out. And because of his age, he was sometimes pessimistic, looking at the negative things about life, including time, for example. Yeah. However, he admitted he could see the positive things with help from companions, and described sharing his travels with them as the greatest adventure in the Curse of the Black Spot. So also with that ship and with that weird creature who came out of the sea, and so we also a nice episode, by the way, with the pirates. Yes.
Yeah.
And when thinking about how to solve a problem, Doctor blocked out outside distractions, even in his companion's comments in Flesh and Stone, February of Venice. I would use reverse psychology to help people re-evaluate themselves in a situation. In Larger than Big Bang. Yeah. And there's some funny thing. He fully expected his companions to disobey him, as most of his previous ones had. I was surprised when Clara Oswald listened to his instructions in Cold War. He was really surprised.
Yeah. Actually, being Clara, yeah. With Capaldi.
Yeah. I was going to say, she wasn't as insufferable at that point, Peter.
No, Series 8 became really insufferable, and then she kind of cooled off a bit in Series 9.
Some fans think she became a little bit annoying or something. Annoying?
What, Clara?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't stand her by the end.
Mm-hmm. She was fine with Dr. Matt. The second that Peter came along, she became really insufferable, controlling.
Yeah, that was the problem. She became smug and full of herself, and she would take plentiful jabs at the Doctor. And I'm sorry, there's a difference between what she did, which is a jab at Peter's Doctor, to like a Donna or even Amy with Matt. You could see whenever they said anything, it was out of wanting to help.
Yeah.
Wanting to. Whereas with her, by the end, it just felt she was just having a go.
Yeah. Damn it, dig. Yeah. That's the problem.
He also took a liking to people who were observant and good at making deductions in the God complex.
Oh yeah, he liked the nurse.
Yeah, that was. Oh yeah, that was with other different. They were in a hotel or something.
Yeah, they were all trapped, and he really could. He almost.
What they feared, they. That was him.
Didn't everybody kill? Didn't everybody?
Yeah. But he also showed great sympathy for those who had suffered terribly at the hands of outside influences. Even others looked at them as creatures. For example, Beast Below, Vincent and the Doctor. Vincent and the Doctor, there was also a beast in it.
Oh, you are beautiful, as he used to say.
Yeah, but 10 would do that. I just thought that's a bit of a carryover.
Yeah.
There was also a moment when he describes himself, the 11th Doctor. He openly described himself as obsessive compulsive.
OCD, yeah.
Yeah. And he described himself in that terms. The Doctor was known to let his curiosity over enigmas get the better of him, often putting himself and others in harm's way for answers. His insistence on solving mysteries also led him to take on Amy Pond and Clara Oswald as companions.
Yeah.
And the River was aware of the Doctor's interest in enigmas and wanted to be purposely cryptic to allure his assistance on the adventure. And the Alliance knew the best way to trap the Doctor was to lure him in with a mystery. Also in the Pandora Opus, the Alliance, also mentioning in that.
Yeah, the Alliance.
So they used River in a way, and
he got too infamous at the end of Series 6 as well, so he had to kind of go a bit more incognito because everyone was after him.
Yeah. There is some the thing with the sixth incarnation, much like the sixth incarnation, the 11th Doctor was willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good.
Yeah.
He often put aside his own safety if his companions were endangered. And despite all this, the Doctor admitted that he could be selfish at times, telling Amy that he had taken her with him because he was vain and wanted to be adored in the Cotton Complex.
Yeah.
So he was. He could admit also his weak points. That was also a strong characteristic of his Doctor. He could easily admit his own weakness.
Yeah. He also had a bit of a hatred for the War Doctor.
Yeah. Also, yeah. Regarding his other incarnations, the 11th Doctor liked to make fun of his younger selves, especially his 10th incarnation, David Tennant, jokingly calling him sensuous, joking about his skinny figure.
And he sort of tries to show off his Sonic, doesn't he? To him, like, look at me, I'm better.
Yeah.
The fez, whole thing with the fez as well.
He also displayed joy at the curator's resemblance to the Fourth Doctor.
Yeah.
We can see Tom Baker in the story in the David Doctor, and that the hope he gave him that Scalafree still existed.
That was the best bit of the thing. That was the
suddenly we saw Tom Baker.
I teared up at the ending. I teared up at that ending.
It was so very good. I saw him, and I wanted at that moment. I wanted that I play the Doctor again.
Yeah.
Oh, it was very good.
Yeah.
It was very emotional indeed. I was in tears in my eyes.
Yeah, I can remember watching that, not watching Classic at that point. But even as soon as you heard Tom's voice, because I knew Tom's voice, even though I hadn't watched his Doctor. And as soon as you hear the voice and then he turns around and it's Tom, you just sort of, that is fan service done right. That is, if you ever do it, you need to look at that scene.
Yeah. It's just perfect. It was just a perfect scene. At the end, to the last thing, who knows? Who knows?
Well, if rumours are to believe, they'll probably use that scene going forward for a certain something they might do.
Yeah. Hope they do. Hope Russell does, I should say.
Though he preferred the attention of his friends while he was being clever and deeply enjoyed having an audience, he was also content talking to himself on occasion. And he once claimed he took on companions solely to have someone other than himself to talk to in that hour. But it was he had a tendency to talk to people without checking if they were there. And when facing a personal problem or when seeing a situation as too dangerous for his companions, the Doctor would demand they return to the TARDIS for their own safety, or would leave them in a safest place possible. And at times he would trick them into returning to the TARDIS, for example, in Doctor's wife, or have someone else return them to safety for him. So he was also thinking of the safety of the. You can see in Doctor's wife, they must look for something in the TARDIS, and then when they are trapped in the TARDIS.
I just remembered one other thing. Matt didn't have the Master. Matt was the first Doctor not to have the Master.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to have a Master within.
Yeah, Master didn't come back till Peter. Yeah, the Peter season. Yeah.
He was also very affectionate to his TARDIS, calling it the best ship in the universe, and addressing it as dear and calling it sexy.
Yeah, so
hello, sexy.
Before that, we'd heard old girl. Now with Matt, it was sexy.
Yeah.
And
he loved that TARDIS.
Yeah. And he also gets defensive when others criticize his piloting of the TARDIS, such as how he left the brakes on when landing.
Yeah.
Makes that noise. I like that. No, River said that is the brakes. You can land without.
At the time, I didn't mind that scene, but I think now, because of all the stuff that's happened, I do groan a bit because it is a little bit of, oh, look at the woman saying being better than the man. But at the time, I didn't see it like that. It was a fun little scene.
Yeah.
And or when they had already figured out how to explain it, how it was bigger on the inside, as he enjoyed seeing the reactions. It was easily aggravated when someone harmed his ship. In the Doctor's wife.
Yeah. The Doctor used to get a bit pissed off when they used to turn around and say it was bigger on the inside. Oh, yes, it's bigger on the inside, but Matt liked it.
Yeah, that's right.
Completely opposite.
And about River Song, the Doctor initially had a very distrusting nature towards River Song, but however, the two eventually grew to love one another in the series, even marrying on the battlefield of a broken timeline in the wedding of River Song.
Yeah.
The Doctor came to love River so much that he couldn't bear to think of her death and the prospects of never seeing his eccentric wife again in the name of the Doctor. And he also delayed what he knew to be their final date for as long as possible to keep from losing her, repeatedly cancelling them and going to Delirium, the husbands of the River Song.
Yeah.
But by the way, it was not the first time he was engaged or married. The first Doctor was also in the beginning.
But that was an honest mistake.
Yeah.
Bit different.
The Aztecs.
Yeah.
One of the first stories of the first Doctor. He was
like God London. He didn't know that accepting some chocolate from a woman was the equivalent of a marriage proposal.
Yeah. His lack of trust in others was also shown by the way he acted with Clara Oswald. Although he was nice to her whenever they were together, the Doctor grew brooding and suspicious whenever Clara's back was turned. And until he finally confronted Clara about her impossible nature and realized that Clara genuinely had no idea that she had lived other lives and was happy to find out that she wasn't part of whatever had happened to her. This also led the Doctor to think of Clara as a person and not as just a puzzle that needed solving, leading him to start trusting her. And as his feelings and attachment to Clara grew, he became somewhat possessive of her and jealous of other men, expressing tricks to her with Mr. Clever, sarcastically, noting how eager he was to please Clara in Nightmare Silver. And the 12th Doctor later indicated that the 11th Doctor thought of himself as Clara's boyfriend, as he clarified to Clara that he was not her boyfriend, that it wasn't her mistake. He was referred to when he said that in deep breath. The Doctor was admired by children for his eccentric, tender, playful, childlike personality. He did not talk down to them, talk to them as equals more, and not dismissing their issues, and tried to encourage them to rise to the occasion. And he showed a great deal of compassion for children, unable to resist helping if one was upset or scared, and was greatly enraged when people tried to use children as weapons.
Yeah.
So it was a childlike one.
Yeah. Kutan, yeah. That's a good episode.
Yeah. The 11th Doctors thought the Daleks as being masters of hate and fear and destruction, and was very hostile to them, saying they were the worst things in all creation, and taking and want to provoke it into revealing its true nature to Winston Churchill in Victory of the Daleks.
Oh, just very quickly. Night, Wendy. Have a
Night,
if you feel a bit better, love. Didn't know you weren't feeling 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Get well. And he showed considerable brutality towards them and took great enjoyment in destroying them in the wedding of River Song.
Yeah.
He was also disgusted when he learned the Daleks considered the hatred to be beautiful, having previously thought they had run out of ways to make him sick. However, the Doctor felt genuine pity for Oswin Oswald after he realized that he had been turned into a Dalek, and although he told her that she was no longer human, he still treated her as such due to her still retaining her humanity.
Yeah.
And he was grateful to her for allowing him and his friends to escape and reluctant to leave her behind, only doing so when she ordered him to run. Run, you clever boy!
Yeah.
This was one of the phrases of.
Yeah. And
they also believed that the Weeping Angels were the most malevolent life form evolution had ever produced in Time of the Angels. There are some angel episodes.
The evolution had produced. Yeah, we're lucky we didn't find out where they came from.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you know where I'm coming from.
There are some hiding messages during this live stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hidden messages.
Episode 4. Ah, no. Don't tell us that.
So,
Yeah.
I think. Oh, well, there's so much more. Oh my. Transalore. We talk about Transalore. That's what, because that was a turning point. So Queen Charlotte already said. Transalore was a turning point for him.
Yeah.
Can someone explain in short what really the turning point was in that story from Transalore?
Transalore was a planet he was going to die on.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think it was just having. I think up until that point, Matt's doctor felt it was free. He was free of all the doom and the gloom and the sort of overhanging feeling of death that he'd experienced ever since 10 got that warning about the Nox.
Yeah.
And I think the Translaw stuff was just all that coming home to roost.
Yeah.
And I think you got to remember, at this point, he thought this body was his last incarnation.
That's it. Yeah.
So I think it was the combination of him getting told, here's your death, here's your ending point. And he probably always had the back. The more I sort of think about this, the more I think he probably at the back of his head, he knew this was his last body.
Do you mean that he knew I'm no longer able to regenerate or something?
Well, the rule, which is a bit odd, at that point it was 13. So even though he was the 11th Doctor, he was basically at the 13th body.
Yeah. The War Doctor and the Metacrisis Doctor.
Yeah. So he knew he'd used up all his regenerations. So I think at the back of his head, that was probably always there. Yeah. But that's why he was so full of life. He was so full of energy. And then as soon as Translog hit him, it was like, right, here's my literal death.
Yeah.
And I just think that, because the scene when he breaks down on the couch.
Yeah.
With Clara, you can see all of that stuff that he's been hiding.
Yeah. But however, he gets a new regeneration cycle by the Time Lords in the end.
Right, yeah. 13 regenerations. Yep.
That gave him some peace in death, because he knew after that he will change in another person incarnation.
Yeah, well, he's fighting the Alliance on Translaw. Yeah.
Oh yes, as soon as, because that's another thing. Matt's doctor didn't die young. He actually aged.
Yeah.
Yes.
He became an old man, and you can sort of see that he's very decrepit. He's still got the energy, sort of the crazy energy, but he's an old man, so he can't do the wilder movements anymore. But as soon as he gets that energy, he's twirling the cane around, he's dancing. It's like you can just see that euphoria in him. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So, nearing the end of his life, the Doctor grew weary and accepting of his fate, not trying to avoid his death any longer, and resigning himself to his fate by refusing to abandon both the Time Lords and the people of Transalore. And when the time came, the Doctor faced the Daleks fearlessly, wanted to protect Clara and the people of Christmas one last time.
Yeah.
The people, the time Christmas, yeah. And
now
however, when
actually he'd become their guardian.
Yeah, that's right. And however, when the Time Lords unexpectedly granted him a new cycle of regenerations, the Doctor regained his old figure and fighting spirit again. He was his old self, his original self again. He was again some courage because he knew, I can go on now. And using his regeneration to destroy the Dalek flying saucer and attacking Daleks with it.
Yeah.
Though restored to his youthful form, the Doctor continued to accept his forthcoming regeneration in the time of the Doctor. Though was unhappy to hear his next incarnation will be old and grey-haired. And he tried to comforting Clara first by phoning her future self to assure her his new incarnation would still be him. In deep breath.
That broke me.
Yeah.
I was like, I just got over the fact that Matt had gone and we had Peter. And then that phone call at the end of Deep Breath. I was so in bits.
For the American audience, though, wasn't it?
Yes. And that's the reason why I mentioned it. It was a very good moment. Really good writing was that. It was really good writing. And still encouraging for Clara also.
I love how PD said that's for the American audience. That was for people like me as well. Who were just like...
No, originally they made it for the American audience to explain the regeneration because they didn't know. Many of them saw the 10th Doctor. They were the 11th Doctor. But
that's what you mean. Okay.
I get you now.
Did the whole kind of crossover, so, try and accept it's me, but, it's not me, if you know what I mean. Try to explain it to the American audience. Still worried about the American audience not understanding what regeneration is, even though they rewind a little bit, they would see what a regeneration is twice and understand it. But they were just worried, so they added that extra little scene in. But yeah, it was a bit horrible. We just got used to Peter, and then suddenly, bang! Oh, here's Matt again, briefly.
Yeah. So, it was telling her present self that people changed throughout their lives, and what was important was to remember who they were, and promising to always remember when the Doctor was me. What he said. I will always remember when the Doctor was me.
And when he says, "You've got to move forward."
Yeah.
And so,
yes, I hope certain people understand that moving forward and changing in our lives. Sorry, that's just that little bit was endorsed by Problem Being. Just had to get it in there, though.
And so in his final scene, we see hallucinations of Annie Pond, and then the Doctor removed his bow tie as a sign of his passing. Closed his eyes and prepared for the change. And then
he literally did the equivalent of a sneeze, and we had Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
No big explosion this time. No light show.
Wasn't that kind of regeneration? It was a full usurped bunch of regeneration cycles, so that's probably why it was different.
When he was preparing for the change, Clara still protested. His last act was to smile back at her and offer his hand, but he regenerated suddenly before he could reach. She could reach to him.
And then she spent the whole of the next episode being stroppy.
Yeah. Domineering.
So, it is. That was the final scene of this Doctor. What I just said, it was very hard for me to
draws to an end, my friend.
What?
The 11th hour draws to an end, my friend.
Yeah.
So it's very poetic.
It was very hard to make a top 5. It was very hard for me to make a top 5 for this Doctor. The Day of the Doctor is for me number 1, but there are more Doctors in that. So this I will skip that. My number 5 is the Angels Take Manhattan.
Yeah.
And then number 4 is the Pandora Opens. My number 3 is the Big Bang. Number 2, Good Man Goes to War. And number 1 is Vincent Doctor. But number 1 is for me actually Day of the Doctor. Together. Okay. But there are my 5, but there are still more episodes I really like. So
I think didn't Matt have more specials than David Tennant in the end?
More Christmas
3 specials in a row. Yeah. Didn't he? I think.
Yeah, because he had the 50th. He obviously had the Christmas stuff, and then he had his bowing out special.
Yeah. Yeah, so he had 3 Christmas, 5 specials, didn't he? 6, wasn't it? Because he had snowmen as well.
But it is a very hard it is quite a hard question. But there are many favorites, I think.
Oh
Charlotte.
yeah, I'm like that. It's like
it's very hard to pick one out. But
yeah, so I struggle to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with that. I really do, because I'm like you. They juggle around. They constantly move around. So I'll say 11th hour because that I've said this before. That episode had so much to prove. And Matt had to hit it out the park.
I agree.
I don't think any other Doctor had as much pressure. And I'm even including a certain Doctor, I still think Matt had more pressure to deliver that first episode. So 11th hour's there. Doctor's wife, because I adore the Doctor and the TARDIS relationship anyway before this, but I think this episode cemented that I adored that relationship because of how close it is and how the TARDIS is like the one constant companion. So it's like a different level to any companion because it's his bit of home, it's his constant. It's been so many things to him, and I think she was really good. The actress, Saran Jones, who they got in to play the TARDIS, like uncanny and brilliant she was. Vincent and the Doctor, because of the whole. I like the historical stuff, and I think that's how you do a historical. But it's the mental health stuff. It's such a hard topic to tackle, and I think that is the most well done and sensitive way they ever could have even tried to approach that sort of story. Time, because I adore Matt's performance. The fact that we were saying he was the old man trapped in a young man's body, and they let him become an old man, and I love the poetry of that. And like you said, you see a Doctor accepting his death, which is a novelty because he did think he was going to die, and then that's as soon as he gets the regenerations, and then you get that goodbye speech, which even now I struggle to watch because of what Matt means to me and because of how well that scene's written. It's like we're gonna come up to it soon in the watch-alongs, and I don't know what state I'm gonna be in. I'll probably have to mute my mic because I just get so emotional.
Yeah.
Trying to think of ones you didn't mention. God Complex. And Amy's Choice, I think, those are. But there's so many others I could go for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, see, I Christmas Carol. That's when I adore that without it being a Christmas special. But I think that's one of the best Christmas specials.
I may try to do a Christmas Carol.
Oh my god, I've got about 7. I know we're supposed to have a 5, but I've got like 7. I've got Christmas Carol as 7. I got Rings of Akut as 6. I've got Beast Below as 5 because that's one when I feel like he became the Doctor. Doctor's Wife. I thought that was just a great episode all around. Snowmen, because that was kind of the beginning of the kind of how I liked Matt. The kind of how he really was the Doctor at that point. Everything looked like the Doctor and felt like Doctor Who again. And I got then I got Day of the Doctor and Time of the Doctor. I got about 7.
Oh, and the Almost People as well. I quite like that.
That was a good one as well, yeah. Probably 8 on my list. God, I've almost got 10.
Yeah. By the time we mention all the episodes.
Yeah. I just mentioned it. Let's just say the whole series.
That's the conclusion of this. But because it was very diverse, all the episodes were different. There was no... every time there was another idea worked out.
Oh yeah, Moffat's run with Matt, you could see was just really with ideas.
Yeah, very creative.
It's a good run. It was a very good run. I just think he burnt out a bit with Peter, but he was brilliant with Matt. There were some stories that never saw fruition. Yeah, some stories.
With Rings, that speech he does is one of my favourite Matt moments, but I just don't like the overall episode.
It's a good music episode. That's why I probably like it. It's a very good music episode.
Oh, yeah.
and it was Clara's first. Let's take you to an alien planet in the future. So my episode.
Yeah, but like I said, the Clara stuff with the leaf and other things, I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
But that's
It's not as bad as the Clara stuff in Series 8, though. Is
no, but like I said, that scene when Matt is just when he says like nobody will, like he says about all the pain and all the suffering, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So, in short, what the habits and the quirks? In short, the 11th Doctor talked with his hands and calculated with gestures, and we have one. He had one liking for a word, and it was Geronimo.
Geronimo, yes.
Geronimo. Yeah, very nice. But what the 10th Doctor was NLZ. Was, this doctor used the word Geronimo to go in action, full action.
9th was fantastic, and this was Geronimo.
Oh, there was one thing I was last week we talked about David Tennant. There was one thing I had forgotten, but I wanted to mention. No, wait. I will come on after that. Also, occasionally used the word blimey, as well as gotcha, and Yoza.
Yeah.
And he had also a fondness for wearing bow ties. That often insisted that bow ties were cool. He usually referred, by the way, to other things as cool.
Like Stetsons and fezzes and all sorts.
Yeah.
Yes,
fezzes. Cool now. I wear Stetsons. Yeah.
The red fez.
Yeah. Mentioned it earlier, but yeah.
Also the fez. The fez and the eyeglasses, and he regarded monks as not cool because of the history with the meddling monk.
Yeah, I think that's a big.
It was interesting. I read an interesting theory of P.D. Rich about the meddling monk somewhere in the Facebook group.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let's not get into that. I wish that would happen. That's all.
A sociable full of hidden messages. A sociable incarnation in the 11th Doctor frequently asks people to trust him, and would repeatedly say no if something was going wrong. No. He was desperate then at the moment.
Yeah. The Tennant used to do that as well. He'd go, no.
No. When his instructions and advice were ignored, he would shout that people should listen to him, and that he would also say to illustrate the severity of the need to follow his orders. And he frequently used the phrase rubbish to describe something he disliked. 11th hour, rubbish, Big Bang, and would say that's new when faced with something unexpected. That's new. And often the 11th Doctor also used minor curses freely, often using hell as an intensive and noteworthy example, or uttering the name of God in vain, and sometimes said damn. So he was a little bit for a little bit of curses freely in little different ways. When thinking intensely, he had a tendency to repeat himself in quick succession and often made speeches. And he had also a habit of referring to his campaign by his surname.
Come along.
There was a sign of affection rather than to annoy them, by the way. Usually addressed to them as such when he told them to come along. I was not expecting this. Yeah, that's right. I wear the skin of my enemies now in the skin of my enemies.
I don't think you said that.
Yeah, there are so many things he said. By the way, Evan Doctor would often hunch over and frequently pointed his index finger when explaining something with his finger. He used frequently pointed his index finger when explaining something. You can see that. There's also one of the habits of the Doctor. There are many gifs, by the way, when you see that he is pointing to something. And click his fingers by pointing at someone he was talking with.
Yeah.
And then he would sit in chairs with his legs crossed over and his hands interlocked by the fingers. But also interlock his fingers when in deep thought.
Yeah, and like put them underneath his chin. It was a bit like a Sherlock pose, almost.
Yeah. He often dragged his friends in for a shoulder hug. Well, he was after hugging, this Doctor.
Oh yeah, he liked physical, like hugs and shaking hands and all that.
And when thinking, well, yeah, he was scratching his chin, indeed. He was also had the occasional habit of bopping someone on the head when they did something stupid.
Yeah.
Or holding someone's head when attempting to console them.
Yeah. He also got slapped a couple of times, didn't he?
And the Doctor in a show of vanity would often admire himself in a mirror. Yeah. For example, in Feminist, and in Lord Sher, in Night Terrors, in the Bells of St. John. And however, he became annoyed when the TARDIS in Idris' body looked at herself in a mirror while Amy and Rory were in danger in the Doctor's Wife.
Yeah.
He was also a Doctor who was fond of kissing his friends on foreheads. You can see that by Rory, by the way, that he is kissing him in the forehead. And kissing people square on the mouth, regardless of the gender. He was also kissing Rory, I think, on his mouth.
Oh, he did it a few times.
Yeah, a few times. So I liked kissing in that way.
Yeah.
And he also used cheek kissing as a form of greeting and farewell, albeit without any physical contact.
Yeah.
For example, and so when he wanted to kiss Sophie in Lodger, he does that without physical contact. And he did it also in other episodes, in Night Terrors and Closing Time. So he was of the kissing in some way.
Yeah, but it was always more like sort of like a family sort of affectionate way.
Friendly.
Platonic.
Yes.
Yeah, very platonic.
Not a romantic kiss, but more a friendly kiss.
Yeah.
Show his affection. Yeah. So it was a friendly to show his appreciation, his love, his confidence. He is also much like his previous incarnation. The 11th Doctor also had an apparent affinity for Earth culture and striking up friendship with the likes of Frank Sinatra, appearing with Laurel and Hardy in a movie,
Yeah.
and even recording backing vocals for a rap singer. And he had also had when Matahari and married Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was married to Marilyn Monroe in the Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And though he was of the opinion the wedding wasn't official.
Yeah, it was almost like once again a First Doctor scenario, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he could also be literal-minded and overlook obvious details. For example, in Amy's Choice. And the Doctor spent most of his private time working on the TARDIS interior and mechanics.
Yeah.
And they used occasionally.
Yeah. After the Snowman, it's got a completely different console room. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And I love that console room.
Yeah.
The second console room.
One of the. I mean, there was a few months ago. There was a pool, and you can choose about 10 TARDIS console rooms, and one of the what you mentioned, the second TARDIS role is very highly ranked, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that one. It just looked like a spaceship. It just looked like TARDIS again. It just. Was there a fodder component?
By the way,
we'll talk about like this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, we didn't mention the sonic screwdriver for this doctor. What for importance it was for him? But because there are doctors who use the sonic screwdriver for every occasion.
Yeah.
We won't mention.
Yeah.
11th Doctor. Yeah. The 11th Doctor grew reliant on his sonic screwdriver for a variety of uses, when even using it to directly combat enemies in the cold blood. Day of the Moon.
Yeah.
I think with that, it honestly depended who was writing the story.
Yeah.
Because in some stories, he didn't use it a lot. In other stories, he used it a hell of a lot. So it really depended on who was writing him that week.
And while he deemed it valuable enough for him to be reluctant to part with it, and was highly defensive of it, but he occasionally used other sonic devices, such as a sonic cane. In the
it's sonic cane. Yeah, it's like cane.
So he used more devices than only the screwdriver. So indeed, he used the screwdriver only when really necessary. However, he was also adept at using other technology. He used specific glasses to analyze a creature's blood pressure in cold blood, and link the wearer's vision with the TARDIS interface in The Girl Who Waited. And he sometimes gave salutes as a farewell or greeting, patted people on the head, slapped his own forehead when realizing something, and was known to tell people to shut up in a friendly manner.
Yeah.
So giving salutes was also one of the things he did. So that were the habits in the Quirks. What's then? Oh, we are But I think we have discussed the most things of this doctor.
Yeah.
So, anything else to talk about this doctor? I think we have discussed all the things about him.
I think it's about the costume, the original costume. Originally, it wasn't the original costume.
What was the costume of the doctor?
It was just had this kind of jacket, black kind of.
It was very dark, wasn't
black
it?
Jumper. Yeah, I can share a picture if you want.
Because I remember the first promotional image of him.
Yeah,
it was incredibly dark and his outfit was terrible.
Yeah, wasn't a great.
But then obviously we got the tweed, and I know some people don't like the tweed. I think he pulls it off. It's not too
there you go, Eric Mac Joker.
geeky. It's not trying too hard. I think the tweed for me, it's just the right amount of old fashioned.
Yeah.
What's that?
If you share the screen, it's the original the original costume. There you go. There's the original costume.
Yeah, I remember that, and it was just like, oh no, please don't have him in that.
And the original TARDIS for the preview. Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
And then they went. Yeah, Matt got one of his dad's jackets and a bow tie, didn't he?
But I like the bow tie.
Yeah, I liked his second costume with the that jacket.
Oh, the purple one.
Yeah, the frock coat. Yeah, I love that frock coat. It made me look more like the Doctor in the waistcoat. I really like that. I think that's why I like the Snowmen so much, because the TARDIS console looked great and the Doctor's costume looked great at the end. Just just one of them things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we also mentioned about his appearance that the 11th Doctor was one of the more youthful-looking incarnations.
Yeah, like Peter Davidson of his time.
Mid-20s. He had softer features than his previous incarnation, with blue-green eyes, big nose. Yeah. That's one of the first things he touches when he's regenerated, his nose. And also a scar atop his forehead and a large chin.
Yeah, at least he didn't turn ginger.
Describe his description. Yeah, not again ginger.
Yeah, he didn't want to be ginger, did he? Please don't be ginger.
And because of his youth, by the way, Sophie and Mels considered him attractive.
Yeah.
Mels.
Yeah.
It was
Mels,
yeah.
River Song. Yeah.
Later on, we know that it was River Song all the time. So, and his hair. He had short hair, but you have a picture avatar with long hair.
Yeah.
And after a
That was after Who, wasn't it?
What do you think? His hair, long hair, Queen, long hair or short hair for the Matt Smith?
Yeah. I like the short hair and the floppy fringe. I like that look.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Could have got a picture of the long hair and the straight jacket and the beard. If you wanted. Oh.
Yeah. He had also his clothes. He had also braces. And
yeah.
Sure. Also, his shirt pattern, by the way, also varied from stripped, window pane, and plain, and also a plain white T-shirt with black buttons. So. And during his search for Melody Pond, the Doctor began wearing a double-breasted overcoat of olive green. Queen to wear it in place of his tweed jacket and occasion afterwards. In the girl who waited. So there was some change in his clothing. There wasn't a change in his clothing during his tenure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Series 6 Part 2, he changed his jacket, didn't he? A longer jacket.
And by the way, also the team Doctor's team tune for the beginning has changed.
Yeah.
During his, he had a slower one. Changing a slower one.
Had that little intro, little bit at the beginning of it as well.
So more darker, more
mysterious,
mysterious.
So I think that is now everything.
Are there other things? No,
I think that's everything now.
Yes, everything. Okay. I want to thank everyone in the chat, and I want to thank Queen Charlotte and Peter Rich.
All right.
For everything. Attention. The live stream next week will not be on Monday, but on Tuesday, the 14th. And then we will discuss the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi. And I have a commercial recommended Dutch WHOVIAN community. And you can see the links on the info page of this channel for the Dutch fans under us.
I'm going to have to put them in my Rolodex for you, aren't I? Eventually.
What?
Copy them. I'll have to put all your links in my Wrench's Rolodex, won't I? So I can use them on the channels when you're on there.
Queen Charlotte. You can find Queen Charlotte on Daniel Leach stream. Scott Devers.
And we'll be back in January, folks. Daniel's done a little upload himself, but us doing streams together. We're back in January.
Is that the Line of Duty also?
Yeah, we've got 3 more series of Line of Duty, and other things when they come up streams. We'll have ideas. We want to do other things as well in the new year.
So you have stuff for a whole year.
Well, we sort of we want to have a bit of fun next year. Is the plan.
Yeah. And you can find Queen Charlotte also on other channels, like for example, Type 40.
Type 40 as well. Do you want me to put Dan
Type 40?
So the main 2 are Type 40 and TARDIS, if you want to listen to me rant and rave and have fun.
Yeah, you can find Charlotte almost every day on the channel. And also Peter Rich is also very active on channels as mod.
Yeah.
And also as a panelist on TARDIS Zone, you mentioned earlier, Queen Charlotte. So, and other very active on Rabbi's channel. Also, you mentioned him. Yes, I see him. Yeah. So there's some commercials, some promotion for other channels. Very good. Thanks everyone, and I want to wish everyone a nice week. And we see you. I will see you next week, Tuesday, 14th. Okay. For now, bye bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.